have not heard of one example in Arizona where a business owner's religious liberty has been violated. The bill is broadly worded and could result in unintended and negative consequences. After weighing all of the arguments, I have vetoed Senate Bill 1062 moments ago.
Welcome to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. That was Arizona's governor in these last hours explaining why she vetoed a state Senate bill that has been portrayed in the media as an anti-gay measure. Was it? And will this veto help prevent discrimination? I've got attorney David Rivkin on the line from Washington now. David, what was the intent of Senate Bill 1062?
Having read the bill, I believe it was nothing more than provide a set of protections to religious liberty, virtually identical to the Religious Freedom Restoration Act that was passed as one of the major legislative accomplishments of the Bill Clinton administration. It does not mention sexual orientation. It does not stigmatize anybody. And by the way, it's been portrayed completely wrongly in the mainstream media, particularly New York Times, by suggesting that somehow would lead to wholesale discrimination against same-sex couples by business establishments. There's nothing of a kind.
Well, you mentioned the Religious Freedom Restoration Act passed in 1993. How is this bill different from that, if at all? And can you give us an example of, say, there was the baker who didn't want to make a wedding cake for gay couples?
Right. It is very slightly different, if at all, from the federal RFRA, which of course is a law of the land. But the way it basically works is that if you have an individual or a business that believes that providing a certain service violates its religious liberty, it can put forward as a defense in a lawsuit brought either by the government or by a private party, but using state anti-discrimination law as the basis. An opportunity to mount a defense, Mary, very importantly, not a certainty of prevailing, but mount a defense arguing that two things, that the government interest being served here is not compelling, and two, that what the business has been asked to do imposes a substantial burden on interest. So, for example, in the instance of a bakery or wedding photographer, if the person can come forward and argue that helping to officiate a same-sex marriage is deeply troubling and substantially burdens that establishment's religious liberty. Not a certainty of prevailing, deals again with maybe bakers, wedding planners, and photographers, because again, we're talking about business establishments, small businesses, not drugstores, not dry cleaners, not automotive dealers, but establishments that play a major role in officiating, helping to bring about a same-sex marriage. And even then you might not be able to win. A very, very modest statutory language. And the only difference in the federal one and this one, it makes more explicit, Mary, what is pretty implicit in the federal bill, which is it doesn't just apply to instances of state forcing you to do something like contraception mandate in Obamacare, but applies to a situation where a private party is suing you for allegedly violating a generic anti-discrimination statute.
David, quick answer, very quick answer then. In your judgment, does this veto help prevent discrimination against gay couples?
I think it may provide instances, very few instances, where a discrimination, if one considers it discrimination on a private level, would be punishable because you would have no defense to mount. I frankly think it is sad. This kind of statute would have applied to very few circumstances and would just further polarize this issue, the community, and frankly would lead to more intolerance. Because what I don't understand briefly is, if somebody is officiating in my wedding and a wedding photographer doesn't want to be there, and there are 100 other wedding photographers who will be happy to do it, why do I want to force that wedding photographer, whether he is right or wrong, to officiate at my wedding? It makes no sense to me.
Okay, Attorney David Rivkin with the last word. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.